And welcome everybody to the Lakers Outsiders podcast. We have a special edition show for you today. This is our second and our final live NBA mock draft since the draft as well tomorrow. So why not squeeze one more in and let's have a little fun. So Gary Kessler here hosting this thing. I'll go from order of seniority here. On my far right is Matt Vazine. Matt, it's been a while, man. What's going on?
Everything's good. I mean, finally we get hopefully an anticlimactic draft unlike last year, so we got that to look forward to.
Yeah, it's been kind of today was crazy with all the trades and stuff, but I'm excited for some Laker related stuff for as far as like adding to the roster tomorrow. Next to him on my screen is Jacob Rude. Jacob, I know I gotta stop inviting you since you're a Duke fan and all, but I guess since we might get a Duke player tomorrow, how excited does that make you?
It's nice. After years of cheering for Ryan Kelly, it's nice to have a good Duke player to cheer for, so I'm happy for it.
I didn't know Grayson Allen declared for the draft.
We had one good year of Ryan Kelly under a coach that, it was not Byron Scott, but anyways, that's enough about Duke players, I think. So Grant is the final piece to our mock draft puzzle here, and Grant didn't present his permission slip to me today, but I'm assuming your parents said it was okay to come on the podcast today?
Actually, I'm breaking the rules right now. No, but let's talk more about Duke players. Let's do that.
All right. I still haven't been able to use the boot user feature on this podcast, but I mean, there's a first time for everything. So
is that the virtual version of grounding Grant? Just booting him off here.
I was wondering why his room is so dark. He's like, are you pretending you're like asleep right now and you're just on the podcast? Oh, we lost Grant's sound. Maybe I accidentally muted him. Accidentally.
Okay.
That's all right. He's got time to figure it out because we, thanks to those of you that voted, we have our draft order. I will be picking first for the Philadelphia 76ers. Picking for the Lakers at number 2 is going to be Grant. Jacob gets the honor of picking the next biggest bust in the 2016 NBA draft with the Celtics, and then Matt is going to pick 4th with the Suns, and then we're going to rotate in that order all the way to pick number 32 with the Lakers' second-round pick, and that's where we'll wrap this thing up here. So I guess we'll just get this started. There's really no suspense with the first pick. The Sixers are going to take Dragan. No, I'm just kidding. Sixers are going to take Ben Simmons. They've pretty much, or at least reportedly, guaranteed him that he's going to be the pick, and it's no surprise. It's kind of been reported for a while now. So Ben Simmons is off the board, so that leaves the Lakers on the clock with number 2. So Grant, who's going to be joining the young core with the Lakers?
I didn't really think about this.
Unprepared.
We're gonna take Brandon Ingram from Duke University.
All right, this will be Grant's final podcast.
Going out with a bang.
If I hear Duke one more time, it's just gonna be me and Matt for the rest of this thing. Oh, Matt and we're ACC bros. We have a mutual respect, even though we hate each other as Carolina and Syracuse fans. But all right, I guess we'll throw it to another Dookie. Jacob, you have the 3rd pick with the Celtics. You're on the clock.
Well, when trying to figure out the biggest bust, I want to give them Thon Maker, but I'll try to keep it as realistic as possible. I know Draft Express doesn't have them going there, but I think Dragan Bender would be a good fit for them. They have a ton of young players, but I believe Jared Sollinger's a free agent. Bender can step in. He'll be probably starter level. I mean, when you have to beat Kelly Olynyk for a starting spot, it's not going to take a lot. So Tyler Zeller, I believe, is a free agent too. So that'd be a good pick for them. One of their 522 picks in this draft.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in charge of their roster cuts when training camp rolls around. They're gonna have to cut like 20 players. But yeah, I know that makes sense. I mean, like the one thing the Celtics don't need is another guard, and for some reason I feel like they're gonna draft a guard. But another team that Jacob has joked about in his first mock draft about drafting another guard is the Phoenix Suns. And Matt, you're on the clock with Phoenix.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Suns, I mean, it's guard heavy at the top. I still think they're going to take Jaylen Brown. That's who I'm gonna have them take from Cal, who has mock drafts have him going anywhere from 4 to 7 really. So he can. It wouldn't be too shocking if he fell, but I think he's gonna go for the Suns.
Yeah, it's tough for them because I've seen at least most of the mock drafts have them taking either Bender or Brown, at least from the ones that I've seen. Yeah, I think I can't remember who said it, but somebody was talking about after the second pick in this draft, it's just a mess. Like it could go so many different ways. It's crazy. Like it's a giant cluster. So it's just really interesting. But
yeah, you could say just about the Celtics could go up there and say just about any name, and I'd believe it. Anywhere the group of like 3 to 8 or so is just so like fluid that there's anybody that you could say, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so that puts me up on the clock with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and for me, ideally, I think if I were the GM, I'd want Bender to fall because I think him with Towns would be awesome. But I'm just going with the best player available on my board with them, and I'm going to give them Chris Dunn. I know they have Rubio and they have Zach LaVine. There's been kind of some trade rumors with Rubio the last couple of years. I don't know if any of those ever come to fruition, but I mean, Chris Dunn, I think, is a really, really good player. I don't think he's as good as Jay Williams thinks he is, apparently. But no, I like Chris Dunn a lot, and I think Minnesota has such a good young core that they can pretty much afford to go best player available here. So that's my pick, and that puts Grant on the clock with the New Orleans Pelicans.
I'll give them #future Laker Buddy Hield. Yeah. I just feel like Buddy Hield and Anthony Davis are must-see TV just for entertainment value. I'm giving them Hield. No, but he can really shoot the ball, and that's something that they need at the guard spot because they don't have any stability with all the injuries that they've been hit with.
For sure, and if you would think if they keep, obviously they'll have Anthony Davis, but if they somehow keep Ryan Anderson, and you had Hield, those two together would be that's a lot of floor spacing that defenses have to take into account. So that could be a pretty dangerous combo. But all right, Jacob, you are back on the clock with the Denver Nuggets.
This is an interesting one because the Nuggets they don't have a lot of necessarily holes, I guess. They have a lot of young players.
Yeah.
They drafted, obviously, Moutier last year. Gary Harris looked pretty solid for them. If I had to pick, it'd be... I think they're a team that can go probably best player available, and in that situation, you'd be looking at probably someone like Marquise Chris as your best player available. I'm not a big fan of him, but I'm not paid to make NBA decisions, so I will have them take Marquise Chris. Gives them just more depth, really. And Chris is only 18. He'd be put in a situation where he doesn't necessarily have to produce right away. He wouldn't be thrown into a starter role or anything. So I think it'd be a good situation for him.
Yeah, I think that's ideal because he's still really raw. Like he's got some like physical tools and some skills that there's certainly a foundation there to work with. But I agree that I think being on a team that kind of has a good core already that can kind of help him just develop while they're not really looking to win like right away or anything like that would be most ideal for him. So. All right, Matt, you are the GM of the Sacramento Kings. How does it feel, first and foremost?
Well, this is the pick where absolutely no idea what they're gonna do. There's just like no predicting really at all. The guy I'm probably gonna take is like, I mean, in my opinion, I'm gonna give him Jamal Murray. I think that we're gonna see the first 8 players that we taken in some order. I mean, there might be a surprise or two, but I would expect that these 8 players that we've taken somehow end up making the top 8. Jamal Murray at 8, I mean, I think it's a good value pick. That guy can go as high as 5 or 6 even. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, I guess that's who I'll take for the Kings.
Yeah, I like that pick. I've got Murray higher on my board. I just really like his game, and he's still 19, and yeah, I mean, like you said, that's great value, and I've seen a lot of rumors with them trying to trade Macklemore, so that I know it makes sense. So, all right, I'm on the clock with the Raptors. The Raptors are kind of a tough team to draft for because they're already good, and they have the 9th pick. But I'm gonna go. Man, this one's actually really tough. Just because DeRozan's a free agent, although I don't think he's gonna leave.
Future Laker DeMar DeRozan.
Oh man, you might not want to check your mentions first watching this. I'm going to give them one of my favorite prospects in this draft, Timothy Luwawu. Really like this kid's game. He's a little bit older, I guess. He's 21 years old, but I mean, just ideal size out on, can play the 2 or the 3. Pretty good athlete, gets after it defensively, solid shooter. I just like the foundation that he's got, and I think the right coaching could be really, really good. So I'm going to give them Luwawu at number 9. So that puts Grant on the clock with Milwaukee Bucks at number 10.
I will give the Bucks Deontay Davis from Michigan State. I feel like there's still some aspects in the game that he needs to grow, and there's a young core there, and he could just grow and develop a lot like you said with the Sacramento Kings, Matt.
Jamal Murray.
Yeah. I just totally goof, but because Murray's way more polished, but I feel like Davis just still has a lot more room to grow. I mean, he has a lot of the tools, and I think he would be a fun pair with Giannis.
Yeah, I think just about anything would be fun with Giannis.
Just saying his name is fun.
This is true.
Spelling it's not, but yeah, All right, Jacob, you have the 11th pick with the Orlando Magic. This is a team that really interests me in what they're going to do in the draft.
Yeah, and they're another team a lot like Denver. I mean, they don't have any holes really. I mean, you imagine their starting 5 is going to be like Peyton, Oladipo, Hazonia, Aaron Gordon, and Vucevic. So there's nobody I don't think in this draft that they could take it at this pick that would start over them. So, I mean, again, you're probably looking at a team that's taking the best player available. Jakob Portal is there, but I think they can afford to take somebody, and this is who I'll have them take, is Scala Labissiere. Again, another player who has some he's going into a situation again where he'll be coming off the bench. He can develop a little bit. He showed flashes a bit, Labissiere, last year with Kentucky. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of issues with consistency, but if he's still only 20, and a 7-footer. So I mean, you see the potential there. So I think that'd be a good pick, and especially with them getting Vogel, you could turn him into a real nice defensive player down there in Orlando.
For sure. Yeah, Scal was just crazy because he was like, him and Simmons were the top 2 guys going into the college basketball season, and he just kind of tumbled. But there's definitely some promise there. So, all right, Matt, you're back on the clock with the Atlanta Hawks, who acquired the 12th pick today, actually, with that 3-team trade. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, this will be an interesting pick for sure. I got them taking Domantas Sabonis from Gonzaga, the big man. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, what their front court looks like next year with Horford, as a free agent, and then we'll see with Paul Millsap. But Sabonis, I like his game a lot. I think it's going to translate well to the NBA. He needs to work on not getting into foul trouble still. That happened a lot throughout the year, throughout his career, really. But offensively and defensively, he's a pretty solid player. And at 12 in this draft, especially, I think that's who I would take.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Atlanta does with this offseason because it could go one of two ways. They can either kind of stand pat if they're able to get Horford back. But if he leaves, it might be a team that just blows it up and trades away Millsap and just starts over. So it's kind of they're gonna be that's gonna be a big offseason for them. So
they're reportedly shopping the 12th pick and the 21st pick to. The rumor says was to keep Al Horford around. So I guess you're looking for talent now instead of prospects, but. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what they do, especially if they keep the pick, who they'll pair with the young pieces that they have there.
Yeah, and it wasn't surprising to see Teague go because I know they're really high on Schroeder, and he's kind of starting to come into his own a little bit. But yeah, big offseason for Hawks fans. I'd be kind of nervous. That could go one of two very, very different ways. So. All right, that puts me on the clock at number 13 with the Phoenix Suns. And we gave them Jaylen Brown with the 4th pick, so somebody out on the wing. So I'm going to give them a guy that's been just up and down all over a lot of draft boards. He's kind of down here lately, but I'm going to give them Henry Ellenson from Marquette. They've got Alex Len there already. I know they just signed Tyson Chandler to one of the worst contracts in the league. But they've got a pretty good guard rotation when they're healthy, and we drafted a wing for them, and you pair Ellenson, a guy that can stretch the floor, at power forward. I think that's an ideal fit for the roster that they've got there. So I'm gonna give them Henry Ellenson at number 13. So Grant's now on the clock with the Chicago Bulls, who no longer have Derrick Rose.
Oh yeah. That wasn't news. Even though I think that Jose Calderon might be the long-term option for them, I'm going to go ahead and send Wade Baldwin to the Chicago Bulls. I think he gives them a good guard who can hit an open shot, set up his teammates, and just be a monster on the defensive end of the floor. And I think that he'll give them a pair of fresh legs, which is refreshing after dealing with Derrick Rose.
I was going to say a pair of fresh knees, right?
Right. I think fresh knees come with fresh legs, fresh feet.
Oh God.
Yeah, but I'll give Wade Baldwin to the Bulls.
I'm probably going to stub my toe so hard because I said that. I'm going to be walking in my house and just stub my toe later tonight. I deserve it, though. So, Jacob, you're back on the clock with the Denver Nuggets. So I guess you're just the Nuggets GM from now on.
I am. It's an interesting position to have. I'd imagine, with Boston and Philly, they all have a bunch of picks. The Nuggets have a fair amount of picks. I would be surprised if they used all of them because there's just not a lot of holes there. Again, this is probably just a situation where they'll take the best player available, but on this, right now the best player available is probably Jakob Poeltl, but they have Nurkic and Jokic, so they don't need a center. So I'll go with, I guess, the next best player available is not necessarily they don't need a guard, but DeJounte Murray. He can play either guard position, can be kind of a sixth man off the bench, can help them out, just give them more depth, and just kind of slide in there. He's 19, is another young piece for the Nuggets going forward.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think Poeltl's I think he's a top 10 prospect in this draft, but it's kind of crazy sometimes how these things work. That he's still on the board. So, yeah, that's crazy. Matt,
and this is probably one of those situations where if a team sees Pirtle slipping like this, you can give a call to the Nuggets or something like that and say, hey, what would it take to get that pick so we can get Pirtle? But I would be surprised if he slipped this far, but it's just kind of the way the draft's played out.
Well, like we said earlier, after 2, this draft is just, it could go so many different ways. So
yeah,
it would be surprising, but draft night, anything happens. So, Matt, you're now the GM of the Celtics. How does it feel to be a hashtag trader?
Yeah, this is a good spot for Perry Ellis, I think. That's no, like Jakob, he's probably not going to fall this far, and it doesn't really make sense to take him if they've already taken Bender, so I won't. I don't think they're going to actually keep this pick. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they trade it, especially with the amount of picks that they have. But if I had to pick for Boston this place, I would say Malik Beasley is who I would say goes here. I haven't seen too much footage on him, but shooting guard out of Florida State. If they would pair him up with Bender for their draft, is what I would guess. But if I had to make a real prediction, I would say that they trade the pick.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to have to trade some of these picks.
Yeah.
Ideally, there's only 15 roster spots, and I feel like they can make their own roster with this draft. But yeah, I don't know. Let's just not talk about the Celtics. Let's just move on. All right, that puts me on the clock with the Memphis Grizzlies at number 17, and I'm just going to go with this pick that I think it was somebody for the Vertical. I can't remember exactly who it was reporting that they've made a draft promise to somebody if he's there that they'll take, so I'll just go with this guy. So with the 17th pick, I'm going to give the Grizzlies Malachi Richardson from Syracuse, simply because there's that report floating around that they've guaranteed that they'll pick him if he's there, so that's going to be my pick for them is Malachi Richardson.
He can shoot though. How does that work?
I know, that's why I was surprised. I was like, they got to get a guy that defends but doesn't shoot.
Yeah.
It's probably the hair.
Oh yeah, so that's crazy. It's crazy that Pirtle's still on the board, but Grant, you're on the clock with the Pistons at number 18.
I'm not going to send Pau Gasol Light to Detroit. I'll give Detroit Denzel Valentine. I think that, like Denver, they have just a good group of young players and just can add to the talent and kind of sort out the fit. And I feel like Valentine's the best player available right now, so he's going to Detroit.
Going to Detroit.
There's injury concerns with him, so in terms of talent, that's a great pick. But apparently he might fall a lot in the first round tomorrow. That's what I'm hearing.
Did you just actually, Matt?
No, I love Denzel Valentine. You're wrong.
Oh, that's great. I swear to God, we did not plan this, but Jacob is on the clock again with the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was going to happen, that I was literally going to be the Nuggets GM tonight. But, somebody's gonna trade for this pick if Pirtle's still on the board, but again, they don't need him. So, if they have to make this pick, I've given him a big man. I've given him a guard. I'll just give him a wing player now. I'll have him take Taurean Prince. He's a little bit older, but he can step in there. 6'7". He's got a big frame, and he's a good athlete. He can step in there. They don't have a lot on the wing, I guess. I would be surprised if. Gallinari's had kind of injury concerns and some long-term injuries, so this kind of helps him. So, but again, somebody's trading for Pirtle at this pick. And I don't even know that they have this pick by the time the draft starts. They don't need 3 new rookies to add to this roster in the first round. So, I'd be really surprised if they hung on to it.
Yeah, the Lakers are trading 32, Lou Williams, and Nick Young for that pick.
I accept as the Denver GM.
Everybody's dreams is coming true.
Well, yeah, that's probably I was gonna say that's your last move as the Denver GM too, probably. So.
Hey, I went down swinging.
All right, so Matt is back on the clock with the Indiana Pacers.
I guess this is where we'll have Jaco Poto go. If he actually ends up going 20th, that'd be kind of crazy. But
That would be shocking. Yeah.
But we got to get him off this board, so I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna give him to the Pacers.
I was hoping he would just fall to 32 and we just give him to the Lakers.
Poor planning.
I know. We should have conspired to do that before we went live, but
I mean, that would be a really really good front line for the Pacers.
Yeah, go
Somehow
get him and Ingram in the draft.
Yeah, Hurdle and Miles Turner is their front line for the next however many years with Paul George, and I mean that'd be a great get for the Pacers.
yeah. So, man, this is going to be interesting because I'm on the clock now with the Atlanta Hawks, and we gave them Domantas Sabonis with the 12th pick, and they traded away Teague, but they have Schroeder. This is interesting. Let's go a number of ways with this. I am going to go with the Atlanta Hawks with the 21st pick. I'm going to give them Furkan Korkmaz, international
Great
prospect at shooting guard. Just because, I mean, assuming maybe Horford's there, I feel like they're going to draft with the assumption that he's going to come back because they can offer him the most money and all that. But no, I mean this gives them another guy out on the wing, another shooter with Mr. Korver out there. So the Hawks love to space the floor, and I think this guy might get drafted a lot sooner than this, but no, I think this is a pretty good value with Atlanta at 21. So that puts the Hornets back on the clock on the clock for the first time with Grant as their GM.
Now, I will say about your recent pick that a Schroeder Korkmaz backcourt would probably be the best name pairing in the league. But for the Hornets, I'm gonna be as true to their draft style and take Damian Jones. I mean, he's younger than Al Jefferson, obviously. No, but yeah, Al Jefferson's not going to be there forever, and he's got good size. He can run the floor with the young guys in Charlotte, and he can turn into a good shot blocker on the other end of the floor. So that's what I'm giving to the Hornets.
All right. I was going to say you have to draft a North Carolina player because Michael Jordan's the owner and all, and there's a certain North Carolina player there, but whatever.
Perfect time to take him to the Celtics.
Oh God!
You spoiled up my plan.
All right. Time to get Matt off this podcast too. I'm going to finish this thing by myself.
All right, and then the next pick is Gary, and next three are also Gary.
Oh, would you look at that? I'm back on the clock. All right, that puts Jacob on the clock now with the Celtics. Don't do it, Jacob.
I considered it just out of spite, but I'll take the high road here, as that's been a hot topic lately. I'll take the high road. Option. So I think there's been rumors about whether this guy's coming over or not, but I will have them take Juan Hernan Gomez.
Ooh, okay.
He's a 20-year-old. He can come over if he does. Kind of gives them a little bit of a floor spacing option, but depending on when he does come over. But I mean, if they hold on to some of these later first-round picks, I mean, I'm assuming that they're probably looking at some draft and stash guys that they can bring over in a couple of years and stuff like that. But again, I mean, if the Lakers are looking to get back into the first round or anything like this, picks like this one are the ones that would probably be available.
Yeah.
And the handful of other picks Boston has later, the Nuggets at 19, things like that.
For sure. Yeah, I've read that Hernan Gomez he wants to come over right away, or he's trying to do it as fast as he can. But those international guys, there's so many things that they have to work out to do that. So, all right, the Sixers are finally back on the clock. It feels weird that they had 23 selections in between picks for them, but Matt, you have the 76ers with the 24th pick.
Okay, so this pick's going to be a bit of a reach. Might not be the smartest pick, but I guess that's realistic in this sense, since it's for the Sixers. But I'm going to take Karis LeVert from Michigan.
Ooh.
Dagger to Jacob's heart.
Right through the heart.
A lot of people think this guy's a second-round pick, coming off the injury from, I think it was before the draft last year. He was like a first-round pick, I think, like last year at some point.
Yeah, he's like if he was stayed healthy, he was easily a first-round guy.
Yeah, so I can see that working as a shooting guard. So I don't know. I have no idea if he's going to go in the first round tomorrow, but I'm going to give him to the Sixers at 26 or 24.
Yeah, I tweeted about it today, and he's a guy that's projected in the second round, but we've kind of all, I guess, guessed that the Lakers are going to pick a center at 32 because they're probably going to end up with Ingram tomorrow, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go best player available. That seems to be that's what they did with Larry Nance. I think he was the best player available on their board last year, and certainly wasn't a position of need necessarily, but.
And that's also kind of an interesting comparison because, I mean, Nance had his injury issues as well in college, so he wasn't fully healthy. They kind of took the risk on him to bring him in, and it worked out big last year, so, I mean, I guess that's more reason, I guess, to believe they could potentially take LeVert if they don't go center with their second-round pick.
Right. Trudell actually had an interview with Jesse Buss, and they were talking a lot about Larry Nance, and he was saying that, being at a small school like Wyoming, not a lot of people are going to be paying attention to him, and especially with the ACL injury that he had. So, the whole time the Lakers were really high on him, and when they were there, they were ecstatic, and he was getting all these messages talking about, what are you doing? Who is this guy? And Buss just said, don't worry about it. Like, we did our work. Like, we know the kid, and they're just super confident with him, and rightfully so.
Well, and, I had read from, a couple different writers that Nance was the guy that was just killing team workouts. Like, every team he went to, he was just awesome, and I think the Lakers, it was kind of funny because if you'd have flopped their two picks with Anthony Brown and Nance last year, if you had Brown going 27 and Nance 34, like, it would have made total sense, but I mean, they got the two guys that they wanted anyway. So,
and in hindsight, it seems like they got it right because, I mean, Brown was
right
in and out of the lineup. I mean, part of that's, I guess, Byron's fault because he either started or didn't play at all. But I guess through the first year, it seems like they got it right.
Yeah, I think Nance is the reason that they're getting a whole new sports complex because he just jumped and made a hole in the roof.
Oh man, I think Honey probably has to love these jokes that Grant's thrown out there. That level of cheesy.
Someone's got to fill in for Anthony.
Oh yeah. All right, that puts me on the clock with the Clippers, and I have a lot of pressure with this pick because I know my man Justin Russo is going to grill me if I get this wrong, and I don't know how he feels about this player, but I'm going to draft this guy anyways because I like him a lot. But I'm going to give the Clippers DeAndre Bembry from St. Joe's. He's a guy that I just like him. I think he does a little bit of everything. His shot was kind of inconsistent, but if he can kind of iron that out a little bit, I think he could be a really, really good guy at the three. And the Clippers need some, they need some depth at the small forward position, especially with Wes Johnson, and Paul Pierce is like 90 years old now, and so yeah, I had to give him a small forward, and I really like Bembry. So the Sixers are back on the clock. Grant, you are up with pick number 26.
All right, I'm gonna continue the theme of picking players with injuries and red flags. So I'm going to give the Sixers Tyler Ulis. They need guards, and I feel like if he was at least 6 foot, maybe 6'1", he would be one of the top 10 prospects in this draft. I mean, excluding the hit problem. So I feel like that's a good risk reward situation with Philly. I mean, they've shown that they're willing to take players like that with Embiid, but I mean the process is out the door with Hinkie. So who knows? But in this draft, in our version of the draft, they're taking Ulis.
That's why I thought it was funny when Ben Simmons tweeted out or posted that picture on Instagram that said "Trust the process" with him in his Sixers gear. I was like, are they going to change their mind now? Because
no, he's just going to hang out with Sam Hinkie.
That's all that Instagram was for. He was just meeting with Sam Hinkie. It wasn't anything about the Sixers.
Yeah, they're going to get cheesesteaks with Jimmy Fallon.
I think I like Ulis as much as I can like a player from a rival school, but I think that'd be a good fit for him to go to Philly where he can get some playing time. He'll have some good defenders around. I mean, he's a good defender himself, but I believe he was SEC Defensive Player of the Year. So, but I like that fit for them. That'd be a good spot for Ulis to go.
Yeah, Ulis is just. I mean, he's just solid. He's just a solid player. Just a pretty good all-around game. And like Grant was saying, if he was just bigger, like if he was 6'2", 6'3", yeah, he would be drafted a lot higher. But
he did get outplayed by Yogi Ferrell in the tournament. I'll just throw that out there, but
I'll give you that one. All right, Jacob, you're up next with a very rare pick. You don't have to choose for the Nuggets.
Oh, it's another
the
Nugget pick. Oh, wait, no.
That's an interesting nugget.
You get the. This is you're reaching Anthony Irwin levels.
Mic drop.
The Toronto Raptors have the 27th pick, so you're a new GM. How about that?
It's the first non-Celtic or non-Nugget pick that I've made today, but interesting spot for them. They have, I guess it depends on whether they think DeRozan's leaving or not. Norman Powell was good for them last year, kind of unexpectedly. So between him and DeMar Carroll and Lowry, I would imagine that they don't need a lot of perimeter. They started Luis Scola last year, which is
Brilliant.
Yeah, I guess that says enough. Thought they'd be interested in trading for someone like Bass to upgrade that position, but they really like Luis Scola, I guess. So with that in mind, I will appease Gary and have the Raptors take Bryce Johnson to take Luis Scola's spot, which probably won't be hard to do.
Of course, you've sent him out of the country. Thanks a lot.
Rightfully so.
Okay, so the Suns have picked Jaylen Brown, and they've picked Henry Ellenson. So Matt, with their third pick in this draft at number 28 overall, who do you have them picking?
I'm going to give him Check Diallo. Diallo? How do you pronounce it?
Diallo.
Check Diallo. Yeah.
Diallo?
Check, please.
Yeah, threw me off.
Spell check Diallo.
I mean, the Suns have so many. I wouldn't be shocked if the Suns also traded one of these picks, but a big man from Kansas that will help their front court at 28. I mean, you can't do too much better than that, I'd say.
Yeah, and Diallo was a guy that really showed out at the combine. You know, he was the guy that really stood out above everybody else and probably helped his draft stock the most there. So, no, he played really well. And, you know, just kind of every time I watched Kansas this year, it didn't seem like he played a whole lot. And, I know a couple Kansas fans on Twitter, Tom being the most notable of them, seemed like they were pretty upset that Diallo didn't get as much playing time as he did. So, no, he's definitely got some physical tools. He needs, he's pretty raw, I think, offensively. But yeah, there's definitely some potential there. So that's a pretty good pick. Oh man, I have to choose for the Spurs. I hate being the Spurs GM because, I guess it's not hard. I can pick whoever, and he'll be like the next great player. But because Popovich will just mold him into the best player out there. But I'm going to take a guy that is pretty high on Draft Express's board that we haven't picked yet. And I feel weird giving the Spurs an international player, but Ivica Zubac. I probably totally just butchered that, but he's 16th on Draft Express's board. 7'1". He's still 19 years old, so I don't know if the Spurs look like too much at youth, but he's a guy that if Duncan comes back and plays another year, which I don't know if he's going to or not, but he could learn from Duncan for another season. I mean, if not, the Spurs have such a great coaching staff that they could probably mold him into a really, really good player. So
could you imagine practices with him and Boban? It'd be like Godzilla and Mothra. But I like what you said about Duncan. I mean, imagine if they did a farewell tour for him. Like, just teams would get him a bunch of polos and fishing poles.
They'd buy like a
Baggy
belt.
jeans.
He
Yeah.
was a swimmer when he was younger. Maybe they'll just buy him a bunch of swimming trunks and floaties.
Oh man, I can't even imagine a farewell tour for Duncan.
No, man, he's gonna. Someone, I didn't make this up, but someone's like, he's just gonna like send a letter to like the team and be like, I'm out. Like that's it.
Yeah,
So-
bye.
He's going to pen it himself. Send a Raven.
I think we should really test the Spurs magic wand that they have over draft picks and give them Thon Maker and just see what he can become, because everything the Spurs do, it works. So I just want to see what Thon Maker becomes.
He would be the next Shaq, pretty much, if he went there. All right, Grant. Oh man, that was my last pick. Wow, this thing's kind of flown by for me. All right, Grant, this is your last pick with the Golden State Warriors.
Now,
Who are they going to pick to ease the pain of being the first team to blow a 3-1 lead in the finals?
I think Thon Maker is the best remedy for that. No, no, I'll actually give them Maker, and they can stash him and develop him, but I don't know how well that development's going to go now that we have the best coach on their staff. So
I was going to say, what do you think hurts more, losing the 3-1 lead or losing Luke Walton, their best coach?
yeah, I mean, yeah, so that's up in the air, but I'll give them Maker just to cap my mock draft.
That would
I
be
like
cool.
how,
I would
kind of
pull for
speaking of that, I like how Mitch was just throwing shade at Luke during the press conference about blowing a 3-1 lead and whatnot.
Yeah, that
And
was
then
one
he
of the more
tripped
bizarre
after.
things. All right, Jacob, guess who you're back on the clock with?
Probably the Nuggets.
Close.
Oh, Boston. Yeah. You know what? I'll do this. I don't want any of you guys to take him on the Lakers, so I'll give A.J. Hammonds to Boston.
If Hammonds goes to the Lakers at 32 tomorrow, Jacob, we have to do a live show right after the pick just to see your reaction.
I feel like the only
Pounding
thing that
beers, so
could offset Hammonds going to the Lakers for Jacob would be Buddy going to the Lakers at number 2.
I would just be riding a high for an hour and a half, and then A.J. Hammonds to the Lakers and just.
Oh, this is super awkward. I'm on Draft Express's website right now, and they're promoting a video. It's called Just a Kid from Chicago, and it's about Derrick Rose.
Oh.
That's a bit awkward there. All right, the last pick of the night goes to Matt. Matt, you're up on the clock with the Lakers. This is a pick that I think more people are more interested in this pick because we have no idea who might be there.
Well, I mean, when you have a core of Russell, Durant, LeBron, and Ingram, you don't really need. It's not gonna matter too much in the end. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting pick because everyone expects a big man. So I mean, obviously, you're probably not gonna take big man. But I'm gonna guess no. But I mean, what would make sense at this point, based on our mock draft, is I would go with Steven Zimmerman here. I like that guy from UNLV, 6'11". I think he was a freshman, right? Yeah, he only played 1 year in college.
Yeah.
Solid offensive. He's a good rebounder. I think his free throw shooting is 62%, which is like I guess average for a big man. So if there's something he can work on, it can be that. And staying out of foul trouble too. There's a ton of times when he was in foul trouble, but on the whole, for a second round pick, I think he's a first round talent. So I think he probably will go in the first round. But if he falls at 32, I think that's someone that we should consider if we're going to choose out of the big men.
Yeah, that'd be my guy too.
He was a guy that was like projected mid first round early on in the year, but I think he fell more so just because he got hurt more than anything. I know he has I think he has like an elbow issue.
Yeah.
But he's a big guy that I think he's only 20 years old. He can shoot it a little bit, and there's definitely something to work with there. So. I know that's a guy that a lot of Laker fans have been pretty high on with that pick, and if he's there, that's definitely a good guy to get. So
yeah, I feel like a lot of his game, Luke can really really help accelerate the growth in it, and you can't call him soft because the way he got his elbow injury, and if I'm not mistaken, he was wrestling with his dad, and he broke his elbow, so. Yeah, a little bit more respect from me in that area of his game, just because of the wrestling thing. But yeah, he's probably the number one guy that I'd have at number 32.
If he was wrestling a bear and that happened, I wouldn't call him soft. But since it was just his dad,
Byron wouldn't say he needs to man up.
Yeah, Byron. Let's just steer away from Byron's comments since he, somehow keeps getting them out there. Somehow, some way. But
shout out to Honey for taking the UNLV guy. By the way, Nevada's best basketball team.
Oh man, it's a good thing my phone's dead, or it would be going off right now.
Watching TweetDeck now.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. All right, that's going to do it for us. That's our final live mock draft. We have a post on the Lakers Outsiders homepage that is pinned. It's the first post that pops up, even though we did it back in the end of May. It's basically our consensus mock draft. I think we've got 6 or 7. I think Ryan was adding one today, but I'm going to update mine. I think everybody's going to kind of tweak theirs a little bit before the draft tomorrow. We're going to see kind of what goes on, and hopefully nobody pulls a Chad Ford and changes it after the fact. But
I'm gonna be out on there during the draft, just live updating.
Just one pick at a time. Just I got every pick right. No, but we got. If you're looking for mock drafts, we got you guys covered. This is our second live mock draft that we've done, and we've got 6 or 7 mock drafts already up on the site. So be sure to check that out. I want to thank all 3 of you guys for jumping on with me. I know it's kind of late on a weeknight, but tomorrow's a big day. I'm excited for it. I'm sure everybody else is. It'll be interesting to see who they go with number 32, and hopefully they don't surprise us at number 2. But I want to thank everybody that followed along and commented. As this went along, and YouTube comments I'm sure are going to be really fun, critiquing our GM skills. But no, thanks again, everybody. Thank you 3, and this was fun. But we'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, talking about who the Lakers picked with their draft picks tomorrow night.